Okay, here's a quick review of Sam Harris's latest article, and it's about Dr. Eben Alexander, who is a man who he's a neuroscientist apparently, and he's writing about near-death experiences. We're trying to give proof that there is this near-death experience that is separate and sort of unattainable by scientific logic. He's written a book which is huge on the bestseller list. It's being highly touted as, I guess you could say, it's this revelatory type thing. The article is called "Science on the Brink." Science on the Brink of Death, and well, near-death experiences, you know what those are. You know, the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross anecdotal accounts, and you know, that you see a shining light at the end of your days, and or sometimes your mom is walking with you hand in hand down a forest road or something. This is a common pattern that's reported. Now, one thing that Sam Harris is most concerned with is that this scientist is basically coming to conclusions that are non-scientific. And in the article, Harris also says that there needs to be proof that there's no brain activity during these experiences, and there was a famous experiment done on a woman whose body temperature had to be put to 60 degrees, and she was clinically dead. Apparently her brain was stopped for a while, brain waves, and that there was no evidence that when she reported the strong near-death, the NDEs symptoms, typical symptoms afterwards, and there was no evidence that those occurred while the brain was not showing brain waves. So kind of interesting. But the major thing here is that Eben Alexander, the guy that wrote this book, which is a huge bestseller, a New York Times bestseller, by the way, he is saying things that are very unscientific, and Harris is saying, you know, that this is very disappointing to have a scientist to veer off into this spiritual direction that there's no scientific proof. So I would invite you to read Dr. Eben Alexander's book. It's similar to that book, I think you might remember, there was a book out about a 4-year-old boy who went to heaven apparently and then had all these revelations. Similar, there was a cover story on Newsweek about Dr. Alexander too, and sold a bunch of copies, and his book is selling a bunch of copies. Apparently Sam Harris would be interested in debating Dr. Alexander. That would just be a no contest debate, I think, for logic. I think he's probably afraid to debate Harris. The book is called Proof of Heaven, A Neurosurgeon's Journey into the Afterlife, has landed atop the New York Times bestseller paperback list. By the way, the book I was talking about the 4-year-old boy, it's called Heaven is for Real. And you know, my wife and other people have expressed interest in this Heaven is for Real book. You know, I might buy it for her. It sure would bring some good discussions to our home, even though I would tend to not believe everything that's placed forth in that book. So anyway, that's just a quick review of Sam Harris's latest book. So or his latest article, I should say. His latest book is an ebook. It's a short ebook called Lying. It's about the neuropsychology of lying, I think. And then there's also a really good book. It's a short ebook again called Free Will, where Sam Harris tries to prove that there's no free will, and that because there are always antecedent to any consequence, or a large concentration of antecedent, sort of a Skinnerian view of, you know, there's always multiple causes to any action, so there's no such thing as 100% free will that I can just you know, just do anything that's not based on something that caused it. So anyway, so Sam Harris, one of the most interesting thinkers out there right now, and I heavily recommend his books. Another great book is called The Moral Landscape.